Okay, I think that's back and working. If it is and anyone's there, can you let me know? I was going to try and push this off till tomorrow, but I thought I would give it another try, because it's just going to really annoy me otherwise. So I hope you can hear me alright. I hope everything is working. For some reason I can't see the live chat at the moment. Hopefully that'll come back. But my god, what a technical issue that was. That was an absolute nightmare. So yeah, I've got the live chat up now. Hopefully it's working. But if not, I'm just going to go through and just talk about this episode and get it out of the way, because my god, what an absolute nightmare that was there. It was like over an hour trying to get that sorted, and it was just issues with OBS and the settings on it. It was not to do with my laptop or my internet connection, so it took a little bit of time and a little bit of research on me to get that right. So I do apologise, but all this is a learning curve. But I'm just going to quickly post the link to the live stream back on my YouTube page. Hopefully this will work, because that was so weird how laggy that was. It was absolutely all over the place. So let's go back. Right. And is anyone in the chat, is this working at all? If you didn't want to hang about, I honestly don't blame you, because it was an absolute fucking nightmare. Let's see, is there anyone here at all? But I can't even remember where I was. My god, it was that long ago. Like I say, it was over an hour. I do apologise if anyone does show back up to the chat. And I can understand if people didn't want to hang around, because I said I was going to be there at a specific time, and obviously I've experienced a few issues tonight, but I think I've managed to get it all sorted. The only thing I need to do now is bring my notes back up. Right, so let's see. But yeah, absolutely fantastic episode this week. Probably my favourite of the season so far. We've still got a few more left to go. I just wonder if they're going to do like any extended ones or any longer ones. Because an hour and a half final episode, that would be pretty good when you think about it. But I don't think Game of Thrones done that, did they? They just did the standard kind of episodes. Let's see. It's not actually showing me if anyone is in the stream at all. This does seem odd. It's technical issue after technical issue tonight. To tell you that for nothing, is YouTube and OBS certainly aren't making this any easier. And I don't think it is working, because no one's popped up in the chat. Let's just try another way and log in and see if it works. Okay. Right. So it is saying I've got 5 viewers watching. So if anyone's in there, can you just give me a... let me know that you can hear me alright before I start going through this all again. Let's see. But yeah, I think I'll probably need to start from scratch, or at least try and remember exactly where I was. But right, let's see then, where was I? So I was talking about the metallics in Tellum, no doubt. There we go. And yeah, just a shame that we're doing what they're doing with this actress in it, because they're not going to carry her over if they're doing the whole body swapping thing. Which is a bit of a shame, and she says that she's got to change bodies every 60 or 70 years. Well, she certainly doesn't look it, but that's just if you ask me. And yeah, everything seems to be fine. I've got my live stream up on another device, so it's showing that it's working. This is why you plan ahead, folks. Well, this is why you do a little bit of learning before you decide to jump straight into streaming. I can see why so many people or so many big YouTubers don't live stream. Because it's a hell of a business if it goes wrong. You've got to be really prepared, or why these streamers have got producers and stream decks and all that stuff. It's a lot easier if someone else is doing it. But yeah, it's saying we've got 10 people on the stream, but nothing showing up in the chat. Let's see. Or is it showing up in the other one? The previous one? Yep, so it's saying that that chat is disconnected. But yeah, if anyone is in the chat, let me know, what did you think about Tellum? And what did you think of the metallics as a whole? Do you think they've been overused, underused this season? Would you have liked to see more of them, or, excuse me, get a bit more background in some of the others? Because let's say, other than Tellum herself, the kid and the guy that pulled the wool over Salvor's eyes, you didn't get anything really with regards to backstory on these guys or what they're about, other than the fact that they're, you know, telepaths, mentalics, whatever the hell it is you want to call them. Which is a bit of a shame and a little bit annoying. Okay. But yeah, it's saying that everything's working on the stream. For some reason I just can't see anything with regards to the chat. Let's go back. This has been one hell of an experience, man. One hell of a learning curve. At least I know it's not my internet, that's the main thing. Everything else is working perfectly fine. It's just my own stupidity and trying to make sure that I've got the best settings possible for a laptop that wasn't really designed for it. Or a laptop that's too old for it, I should say. Okay. Right. But it's certainly not as fluid as last week, guys, so I do apologise for that. What else then? I'm sure I was talking about the Brothers' Day before this all went south as well. So with regards to the Cleons then, especially the first Cleon, and this was mentioned in the chat on, well, I suppose this chat, or the last chat, is that, was it Demerzel's plan, excuse me, was it Cleon's plan, or was it both their plans? And honestly, I don't particularly know about that. Who's coming in where and when, you know? Like, we've not had enough, and as I was saying earlier on, excuse me, everything that Demerzel has now said is completely, the context of it is completely changed. I'm going to have to go back and take another look and find out where she's at and where everyone else is at. Because the stuff that she said, particularly to the first Cleon, that could change everything, or it could have changed everything with regards to how we as an audience are looking at it at the moment. So you've just got to wonder about stuff like that. I seen an interview with David Goyer this week, the co-creator, one of the co-creators of the TV show, and he said that they had the first, I think it was 4 or 5 seasons planned, as in terms of the rough story and where they were going, but they were only about a season and a half ahead. And once they got there, or basically said, once you get to a certain point, it doesn't really, as long as we reach a certain point, in the story, that's what matters. How we get there is sort of fluid to change. And I think that's very, very interesting. So it shows that they are willing to change some stuff from the books, but at the same time, they can't divert too far off from it. But they've already done that in season 1 already. But yeah, with regards to going back to Demerzel and Cleon, is he the puppet? Or is he the puppet master, or is it the other way about? I'm not entirely too sure on that. Because the thing as well is the original Cleon the one that we've seen? Like that scene there, that's from episode 2 or 3 of season 1. Is that the same version of Cleon that Dusk and Day spoke to a couple of episodes back when they were going through their whole memory thing? I honestly don't know. But what do you guys think? If I could see the chat, that would be brilliant, but I still can't. So that's a little bit annoying. I'll try one more thing, see if it works. If not, I'm going to have to go chatless because it's just not showing it to me, but... Oh, my god, this was tricky to get this set back up only for the chat not to work now. It's just one of those days where it thinks everything's going to go wrong. It's not the worst thing in the world, I suppose. It's just incredibly annoying that I've managed to solve the issue with the stream and now I can't see the chat. Oh, let's do it one more time. Because it's saying that there are people here and I'm not getting the warning that I was getting on OBS before. So everything does seem to be flowing fine, apart from the fact I can't see anything with regards to if anyone's in the chat and what you're saying. Okay. But also, going back to Demerzel, and it was last week or the week before when Day was talking to her about the plan with Seraph and how she's going to effectively be useless. Or not useless, but her role will no longer exist, obviously, because he wouldn't need her. Because he's going to start his own family with Seraph. You've got to wonder how she's going to react to that, and how, was that at all ever factored into her plan? Well, her plan, his plan, you know what I mean, the original Cleon's plan. Like, what if she come up with it, or the original Cleon come up with it, or whoever it was that come up with it? Did they ever factor in that someone's going to want to break the clone dynasty at one particular point? And if so, how would they react to that? Because surely she would just off the current brother Day and then break out his replacement and take care of his memories, because it seems that that's happened before. Excuse me a second. Because there was a really very ominous sense that she was going to do something today. Do something to Brother Day at the end of that episode, but I don't think that's probably going to be the case. I think that this Day is going to make it at least to Terminus and then have the big showdown with Harry, because it looks as if, that's what's going to happen in the finale if it's not going to be in the next episode. But again, I would ask you what I think, but I can't see it at the moment. It's saying that live chat is disabled for this video, so maybe it means that you can't chat to me. Let's see. Right, I'm just trying to change the settings to get the live chat back up, hopefully. Okay. Let's see if this works now. Because it was showing that I had it on a kid-friendly setting. As YouTube asks you when you're posting a video or posting a stream, is it suitable for kids? And it looks as if I hit yes instead of no. But I don't think I swore too much there. Ah, yeah, that's what it was. The live chat was disabled because it was set to kid-friendly settings. Fantastic. So the live chat now appears to be open. If someone can try and comment on it and let me know if it is. I don't know why that set that to kid-friendly settings as well. Interesting. But again, it's all a learning curve, so hopefully I won't make the same mistake again. Just remember the settings that were saved. Jesus, what an experience. Hold on, I'll check the live chat is working now. Yep, Susanna says it's working. Absolutely fantastic. Thanks for letting me know that. It never would have occurred to me that it had been set up for a kids, not a kids stream, but you know, under 18s stream. And thanks for sticking about, because my god, oh, that was an issue. I was almost going to throw my laptop against the wall before I realised it wasn't my laptop, it was just the settings that I was using on OBS, which is a streaming service that I'm using. Which is pretty good, but you've got a lot of learning to do. Let's see, and am I sounding alright this time as well, guys? Have I sorted that issue? Ross is in the chat as well. How you doing, Ross? How you doing, Susanna, as well, actually? Let me know. I've been rambling like an idiot, because I didn't know if any of this was working. But now I can ramble like a more composed individual, hopefully. So were you guys in for the start of the chat that I tried earlier on tonight? The one that was all the issues, because I don't want to go over stuff if you've already heard it, but at the same time, if you've not heard it, I'm quite happy to go over it. So if you want me to start from the beginning, let me know, and if you don't, that's absolutely fine. Yep, Susanna says it's working absolutely brilliantly, fantastic. Right, so let's just get right into it then. Oh, Ross says it's working perfectly, great, I'm glad you're both here again. Excuse me. Thanks for your patience. Just one of those things that's completely froze you and you're trying to get back into the race kind of thing. Kind of thing, I should say. It's terrible English. Right. So, everything is set up. Brilliant. So where are you guys? Oh well, lucky for you, Ross, you were 30 minutes late. So Susanna, I think you said you were from East Coast, New York. Is that right, Ross? I can't remember if you were in the chat last week. John D joining us. Again, I do apologise for the technical issues that I was having. Seems to have sorted itself, or I've sorted it out, thank God. Because I'm sure my neighbours wouldn't have been that chuffed with me not throwing a tantrum, but throwing my laptop at least. Because I was this close to it. Right. So yeah, I'll just pick up with where I was with the brothers Cleon then. So what do you guys think? Because now the chat's open and I can see what you're saying or seeing what you're thinking. Do you think that the original Cleon was the puppet master or the puppet, or do you think it was the other way about and Demerzel's always been in charge, or always been in charge since the original Cleon? Because again, going back to what I was saying, I'll need to go back and watch a few of the season 1 episodes for the context of what Demerzel's saying. Ross from Gloucestershire. John D. Anyone think robots might still exist on Earth? Oh, if they're going by the books, no. That's all I'm going to say on that. Is there are other robots in the Foundation novels, but at this point it's just not loose adaptations, because his points still need to take the story to in order for it to work, but I think there is at least one other robot that we've seen in the show so far. And because this stream's all out of whack and I've lost where I am, I'm just going to launch into it and say I think it's Callie, who was the woman in the cave that brought back the real life live action Harry Seldon. And I think that raises quite a few questions as well, is now that Harry's dead, why don't they just go back and get themselves another one. Because what's stopping them? So Susanna thinks she's in charge, as in Demerzel. Yeah, I think you're probably right, but I think we're going to need a flashback before the end of the season to give us a little context. Because the one thing I'm kind of pissed off that I didn't do it, but glad that I didn't do it as well, is I'd written the script for a huge video. Not a huge video, but maybe about 20 minutes. About all the questions about Demerzel and how they were going to have to answer them. And then this week they kind of took most of the stuff that was in the video and kind of answered it a little bit. I mean, you can still pose theories and stuff, but again, it's all about context. And Susanna says they should clone Becky. Yep, I made that joke in the last stream that no one's ever really dead in Foundation. I mean, look at all the Harrys that we've got. There's been, depending on your point of view, this season there has been, let's see, 1, 2, at least 3 Harrys, 4 Harrys. I mean, would you count the Prime Radiant Harry as, not the Prime one, the one that was in the knife, sorry, would you count that as 2? Because he goes from like a hologram to a real person, so is that 1 or is that 2? And then there's the one that was in Constant, so no, actually, shit, that's 4. But then the Constant one, he just kind of said, that's a piece of me, that's not the real me. But yeah, speaking about the many Harrys, looking at this picture, like the way that this is shot and the way that this is framed, I don't think it's accidental. Because I said it, look, God, I didn't even realise that there's 4 Harrys in that picture, and there's been 4 Harrys in the show. But I did do a video about, well, I think it was my first theory video of this season about how they might do a new genetic dynasty with Harry, Gale and Salvor, which is obviously out the window. I get theories wrong, that's why they're called theories, that's the fun part. But I think there's a great parallel between what Harry's doing with the different versions of him and what's going on with the Cleons, because it's kind of, they've both kind of achieved immortality but also not fully, you know what I mean? They're not immortal as in it's one person living, it's just different versions of the same man. And I think that's kind of interesting, just like the parallels, and I mentioned this in the stream earlier on, so if you've heard it already I apologise, like the parallels between Dusk and Rue and Dawn and Seraph. Like, it never really occurred to me that much, like, because we'd seen the younger Dawn in season 1 get manipulated, not the younger Dawn, the Dawn in season 1 get manipulated by women, so I just thought, well, that's what Seraph's doing with this guy. But then Rue's kind of doing that with Dusk as well, which is very interesting. We've got a few more people in the chat. Kyer and Nello Angelo. I do apologise if I've been getting any of your names wrong. Let's see. And Kyer's obviously someone who's read the books, or at least read the synopsis a little bit, but again, they might be changing some of the stuff. Yeah, Susanna, you're absolutely right about the whole Apple copyright thing. I remember seeing an interview with David Goyer when season 1 happened, and they were talking about the rights that they had, especially with regards to the robots. And the way that he said it, I didn't think they were going to get to use any of the sort of classic Asimov robotic stuff. But I guess maybe they convinced the estate, or they paid them a bit of money or something. But it's exactly the same with Lord of the Rings, that TV show, that they can do certain things but they can't do others. Oh, I got your name right, well done. Usually I just go for the first part of the name and that's it, but yeah, a lot of parallels between Harry and the clones. They're both trying to, obviously the original Harry came up with a plan, so did the original Cleon, at least that's what we thought, and they've both kind of achieved immortality. Fernandez T, next episode should be a doozy. I think the next 2 are going to be absolutely fantastic if you're asking me. We've still got a big space battle to go, because they're just parked outside of Terminus. I always have to think before I say Terminus and Trantor. Oh, Neil Angelo says, love your Silo videos. Well, I've got a few more Silo videos left in me, but I was going to wait till season 2, or we got some more information on season 2, but as everything's paused with the strikes at the moment, I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon. But going back to the brothers Cleon then, what do you think is going to happen now that Trantor has been attacked? Because it was getting televised like it was the Super Bowl or the Oscars, or I don't know where everyone is in the world, so those are just the two big things that I can think of. I just wonder, is that going to encourage or invite more attacks or rebellion, or is it going to encourage people to seek out Hobor Mallow and the Foundation and side with them? Because the people that exist in this universe haven't had an option in well, the clones have been around for about 400 or 500 years, but before that there was obviously emperors and empresses and royalty, so now there's another option. So I just wonder who's going to take that up, if anyone's going to take that up. And Kyre's made a good point that all the immortal characters have had their memories manipulated. No, yeah, I was going to disagree with you on that and say that one Harry didn't, but yeah, Flesh and Blood Harry couldn't remember how he came back, so you're absolutely right, that is a great point. And another video that I've got planned for this week is, I'm not going into too much detail, but it's just you've jogged my memory, is prisons and prisoners. There's been quite a lot of prisons and prisoners this season. And again, I'm not going to go into it too much, but if you think about the version of Harry that was in the knife, the version of Harry that's in the vault, the version of Harry that ended up being a prisoner to Tellum, all kind of interesting. Fernandez says you want to hear my thoughts on Demerzel. Well, yeah, I've got a big section on Demerzel. Give me a second while I bring up my notes, and then give me a second while I bring up a picture of Demerzel. But because the stream is not as organised as it should have been this week due to the technical issue, I'm quite happy to go off script and not follow the script I'd set up. So if there's anything that you want me to talk about with regards to Foundation or characters or plots or theories, just let me know and I'll try my best. But I'm just getting the Demerzel stuff up just now. Okay. So yeah, this stuff was supposed to be in my Demerzel theory video, but I didn't get a chance to do it before this episode came out, and obviously I didn't know they were going to have that big reveal at the end of the episode. I thought there'd be something, but I thought it'd be at the end of the season. So not all of this is going to apply, so I do apologise. And give me a second, I'll grab a quick drink. Excuse me. So the first kind of thing that stuck out to me this can't speak, sorry. The first thing that stuck out to me with Demerzel this season was when she said that she served Empire. She didn't say she served Cleon or the Cleons or, Cleon the 12th or the 15th or whatever. It was Empire. And I wondered exactly what that means. And I kind of wonder what that means now, because the way that episode ended, it kind of suggested that she's the Empire, because was it Seraph that called her Cleon's Empress or Forever Empress? I think was the way that Seraph, was it Seraph? It was either Seraph or Rue, I think it was Seraph said that she was his Forever Empress. So what does that mean? So she serves herself, or she serves her own interest? I don't know. Look, again, they're going to have to give us a flashback with her, and I hope that they do it before the end of the season. Because it's I'm 90% sure we're going to get a third season out of this. Apple doesn't really care about money the way that Netflix and Paramount Plus and whatever do, because think about how many iPhones they'll need to sell in order to make a show. Not many, probably about a week's or a couple of weeks worth. But I suppose the big thing then that they need to address is, was she behind the DNA changes? Because although she killed I keep saying the younger Dawn, he is the youngest one. Although she killed Dawn in season 1, we didn't get any sort of resolution to that with regards to now knowing what we know, how that affected her. How did that tamper with her plans, or did that play into her plans? Because when you think about it, she's effectively been manipulating. If you look at it as just, okay, all the Cleons are the one person just at different stages in their life. She's been manipulating the one guy for, what is it now, 17 or 17 or 18 lifetimes, I think we're at. Cleon the 18th or 19th, I think we might be at. So she's got a pretty good handle on what she would need to do to manipulate him and get what she wants. And you know, she's been manipulating this brother Day in a very different way to the way that she's been doing it with others. At least that's what I think. But give me a second, I'm just going to have a quick read of the chat. And again, really appreciate you sticking around, guys, because that was an absolute shambles earlier on. I do apologise. So, where were we? Neil Angelo says, do I think the robots will return in some form? I think we'll probably get one or two more, but no more than that. And I think it all depends on where this season ends up, and if the next season, if there's going to be a time jump, because I hope they don't do the whole two different stories happening at different times. That really pissed me off a little bit that they've done it this season, because they've done it last season as well, and it's not really a trope that I want them to keep doing. So Fernandez has got a good question as well. Was the flashback with Cleon fake when they were talking about the original Cleon was about to die, not seeing the sky bridge being built? Was that a planted memory? No, I can't say 100% no. I'll need to go back and watch it to be sure. But the way that I viewed that scene was it was just a flashback. But I could be wrong about that. I'm going to, let's say, do a Demerzel video probably later on in the week, just going over some questions that we still have around her, because they've caught us up to where she is, but they've not told us, or they've caught us up to the explanation of why she is the way she is, but they've not explained how she got there, if that makes sense. So I don't think we're going to see an entire episode of Demerzel flashbacks, if that's what you're asking me, and I don't think we're going to see her see her interact with any Cleons that we haven't. You know, it'll probably be going back to the original Cleon or before that, but I'm sure she said, or in fact, yeah, I'm sure she said a couple of episodes ago when she was walking Seraph to that medical exam that she served empires or whoever the empire was before Cleon. So I'll be very interested in that, if we do get that, whether it's mentioned or whether it's seen. But I don't think that's going to be key to what she's doing at the moment in her motivation. But you know, that's the fun part. The fun part even about theorising is sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong, and getting it wrong is sometimes a little bit more fun than getting it right, because if you get it right all the time, that's just dull. I don't think I'm that good, put it that way. Although people said they've done quite well in one of my foundation theories, but they didn't say which one, so if you've read the books, don't tell me, because I don't want to know. Let's see, where are we? But another thing as well is, we're assuming that the way that this episode ended, or at least I am, that there's going to be this big, huge reveal in the next episode or two that people are going to find out about her. But what if they don't? What if she stops them? What if she kills them? You know? Like, because there's a whole bunch of other, there's a backup for all the three already there. We know that someone's been tampering with the memory, so it could be her. So she could just whack Seraph, whack Rue, start again with a new bunch of clones. Just like wiping a hard drive or resetting a phone. Easily done. But another thing to think about with Demerzel as well is, what if it doesn't become public? Look, they just decide to wait and see what she does. Because I don't think she would anticipate getting discovered after like 400 or 500 years. But that's interesting, because what if, and I don't think this is going to happen, but what if Seraph's plan comes to fruition in that she gets rid of Day, Dawn takes over, or Dusk takes over, whichever one of them, and Dawn's the future, and he has a child with her. How would Demerzel react to that? How does that fit into her plan, and what's her actions going to be? I think that's very interesting. But Kyr, Kyr, I'm not sure how you say that, I'm just going to say Kyr, says, we'll probably see Dusk restore original Cleon's memories, but I think he'll be replaced. And yeah, I think something like that's going to happen. I think we're going to get an answer, or a character is going to get an answer, and before they can do anything or tell anyone, they're going to get taken out or imprisoned. Kyr says it's probably not the first time she's been discovered. Well, it's not the fact that she's... Yeah, okay, there's two things. There's one, she's been discovered as a robot, but then the second thing is she's been discovered that she's been running the show the entire time. So I think she probably has been discovered as a robot before, because how would you keep that quiet for so long? Because we've seen her get injured and heal herself and then have half her head missing at the start of the season. But yeah, I think she might get outed as a robot, but I don't think she's going to get outed as like the evil mastermind or puppet master that it seems to be that she's getting set up to be. Because if the guys that are running the show want it to go for, like, I think you said 7 or 8 seasons, you're going to have to slow down the pace. Like, can I ask, and just put a Y in the chat, has anyone read the books? I'm just going to give you a second because there's a slight delay between me saying something and you guys typing it and it showing up on screen. So if you've read any of the Foundation novels, just type Y or yes in the chat for me. And if you've not, just type no or N, obviously. Because one thing I don't get is people that want direct adaptations from the novels. Like, when I first heard they were doing this show, I thought it's going to be boring. I mean, Foundation is a great idea and a great read, but some of the books go off. I'm trying to say it without saying it, but go off a little bit and go on. They focus more on the relationships of, like, different planets and how psychohistory affects that and how the Foundation works. Right, okay, so no one's read the books, right. So yeah, in the novels, like, Hober Mallow is more, like, the way they've portrayed him in the show, he's kind of like a Han Solo type figure, but in the novels, I always seen him more as like I'm trying to think who'd be a modern comparison in our world. We don't really have anyone, but more like not like a president, I suppose, but more like an ambassador to another country, but he deals in, like, trade, so he's the Foundation's all about how it builds its power. The second Foundation, how it builds its power, is all kind of like building on trade and relationships. Like, so it's all them visiting planets and having discussions with people and stuff like that. It just wouldn't work for a live action TV show. And Daniel, yeah, it looks like most of you haven't read the novels, or at least kind of been away from it. But Daniel says, yeah, the books span 500 years. The books span about 1,000 years. In fact, I think it might be 1,200 years. But all I'll say about the books and where we are at the moment with regards to the story is if they follow it roughly... let's see, what can I say? If they follow it roughly, they'll not only will they find Earth, they'll find something else. Because if you remember in the first season, I think it was Salvor's dad who said he was having a conversation with her about Earth, and the way that he viewed, or the way that humanity seems to view Earth, is like the way that we view Atlantis or the Garden of Eden. Like, it's almost mythical. Like, some people 100% believe it, some people don't care, some people it's just a myth. And in the novels, it's the same way that Earth is a myth, but then they find it and they go there, and it gets more into the robotic stuff when they get to Earth. But that's if they keep the show all in the sort of timeline of the books, that'll be like at least 2 or 3 seasons away. So Fernandez is asking, have we seen Cloud Dominion City or Society yet? No, I don't think we have. I think we've seen their ships, or we've seen a ship when Seraph and Rue and our people arrived on Trantor, because I was actually going back over those clips this week for my Cleon video, and I remember cutting that bit out. So yeah, if you go back to episode 1 of season 2, there is a Cloud Dominion ship, because it had like big solar sails, I think, or something like that. It didn't look like the Empire ships. It didn't look like a big fin, because that's what I always think they look like. And we've got Ronnie in the chat as well. Ronnie's saying, let's see, I want them to out her, but in the book at the end of the series. Yeah, okay, yeah. Ronnie, I'll read that comment out. I want them to out her, but in the book at the end of the series, doesn't she end up on the moon after the mule is taken down? Yes and no. I can't talk about it without giving spoilers, but that's like 500 to 1,000 years in the future of where the story is at the moment. But yeah, in the book, the mule is a much... Well, we don't know yet because we've not met him, but the mule is like the Joker to Batman. Put it that way. That's what he is to the Foundation, and it's the fact that in the book they don't see him coming, because the very nature that... The way they sort of explain it in the book is... The way that psychohistory works is... For example, to use a sort of real life thing is... You could say that World War II was always going to happen. You know, it might not have happened at the time it happened at. It might have been earlier, it might have been later. But it wasn't just Hitler that started it. There was guys behind him, you know, influencing him and doing things and influencing stuff like that. So it doesn't predict that. It can't say that, yeah, there'll be a Genghis Khan, or there'll be an Osama bin Laden, or there'll be a Hitler, or there'll be a whoever. It can just say that this event will probably happen at some point in the future, most likely. And what it doesn't account for is that there will be a being like the mule. Because, again, I don't know if I want to go too much down the road of spoiling the books, but the way that Tellum is influenced Gale and Salvor with, like, manipulating their perceptions, is that's what the mule does en masse. So he literally goes to a planet, manipulates the leaders and the people on that planet, and then that then diverts from Selden's plan, because those people aren't making the decisions that they're expected to make, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to explain without ruining it too much or going into it too much. But let's see what else we got. Oh no, that's still the same comments. But is there anything else about this episode or the show that you want to talk about so far? Again, I know this stream's been all over the place, but it was just due to the technical issues that I had earlier on. But one point I kind of want to make on Demerzel when we're still talking about her is, maybe not this season with what she's been doing with Brother Day, but certainly in the first season she was seen as a sort of mother to the clones. But now it kind of seems that she's more of a farmer, doesn't it, when you think about it? She's got those guys under lock and key. And I suppose, yeah, that's why she killed the younger Dawn. Again, I keep saying the younger Dawn. The Dawn in season 1, that's what I mean when I say that. Let's see, is there anything else that I've missed? Well, one thing that I want to talk about that we've not really spoken about. Yeah, I'm just about to bring up Constant and Belle, the Kaya as well. One of the things that this season has bothered me a little bit is they squeeze in storylines, or they squeeze in scenes in episodes that they don't need it. Like the one where, a couple episodes ago, where Day announced his marriage to Seraph and the fact he was going to end the dynasty. Like, that was just fitted in an episode all about Harry and his past. Like, and the whole Belle, Hobor, Constant thing, this episode to me felt like it was squeezed in as well. I do think Constant is going to play a bigger role, because remember who her parents are. So I think one thing that occurred to me earlier on today is Hobor, although was part of the Foundation or the Church, whatever you want to call it, he's not really that up to date on it. Whereas Constant, given the fact that her dad's the director of the Foundation, she must know a lot. So like, she's probably going to be the one that Belle's interacting with, or Belle's getting his information from, if they decide to work together or not. But what do you guys think about Belle Rios? Do you think that he's going to switch sides? Do you think he's going to wait and see who comes out on top? Because I think Belle is one of my favourite characters this season. But but he's also one of the most underdeveloped. But let me know what you guys think about Bell in the chat. I'm just going to take a quick drink. Excuse me. So Ross is saying, I don't think the show will follow the books. Have strayed a fair bit already for the better. And yeah, I agree, Ross. As I was saying, if you adapted the books directly, it would be the most boring TV show ever. Like, it would be so dull. It would be unbelievable. Chris says, Bel Rios is waiting for his time to turn on Empire. I kind of agree with that. You keep getting the little devil and angel on his shoulders with, almost said his wife, his husband. But what I think is going to be interesting, and I don't think anyone was here apart from Susanna or Gerard last week when I said that I think the spacer on Belle's ship is going to play a bit of a role and influence on him, because obviously her mother seemed to be the head of the spacers on the Hive ship a couple episodes ago. And I think Belle was the first one in Empire to realise what the Foundation might be able to do, and now he's seen it, so I think... I don't know, I don't see him directly turning against Empire, but he's definitely going to tip the scales, and he might do his own thing, you never know. But I really like Bel Rios in this season. I just think, give him a bit more screen time. He's not done a lot. Well, I thought there'd be a bit more of an investigation when he went to the Outer Reach looking for them, put it that way. I was a little bit disappointed in that, but you can't fit everyone in all at once. And when I first seen, like, the first episode that Constant was in, I just hated her, really hated her, and now one of my favourite characters. Polly as well, I wasn't sure what they were going to do with Polly, and I'm still not sure what they're going to do with Polly. 2 episodes, but I thought the position that Polly was in would be what would happen to Constant, because again, her dad is essentially running the Foundation at the moment, and that Day would just show up on Terminus and say, hey, I've got your daughter, so, you know, give me all your shit or I'll kill her. That's what I thought was going to happen. But it looks as if they're going to try and do that with Polly. I don't think Polly's going to make it to the end of the season, though, let's be honest. Yeah, Chris, Polly is 100 and something years old. They've not explained that yet, but I assume it was he's been frozen, because when you think about it, I think I mentioned this in my last stream, that when he did age to be a normal, you know, adult in his 20s, 30s, whatever, the Foundation didn't have jump technology straight away, so if he was sent out on missions by the church, they probably froze him the way that you've seen in the Alien films. Because remember, it took them, I think it was 4 years or 8 years to get from Trantor to Terminus without a jump drive. So I think that probably explains why he's aged, but why, you know, he's not as old as he should be. Chris also says, I wish they didn't let Day hook up with Demerzel. That wasn't a good choice. It was an interesting one. That was a good fight. I was watching an interview with Lee Pace and Laura, I can't remember her second name, that plays Demerzel a couple of days ago, and they seem to have really good chemistry with each other. Like, you can tell that they work well together, and I really like Lee Pace. I think he's a great actor. I don't think he gets as much credit as he deserves. He's very good at playing a bastard, which is underrated for an actor to play a good bastard, but he's great at being a bad guy. So going back to Polly, yeah, I think the reason that he's so old, but he's not, you know, he doesn't look his age, is he was probably frozen for trips between planets when he was out recruiting for the church before they had the whisper ships and the jump drive. Even that's what I think, but I could be wrong. Susanna says there was no chemistry. Well, she is a machine. You know, you've got to remember she's playing a machine. So that might be it. But I've never seen the actress that plays Demerzel in anything else. I've seen Lee Pace in a few things, and he's always been pretty good. But what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to give it 10 more minutes because it's getting late here, and this stream was supposed to start an hour before I got it up and running. So if there's anything else you want to talk about with regards to Foundation, or anything at all, anything you want to know about me, just ask away and I'll do my best. But I'm going to wrap this up in about 10 minutes. And again, I really appreciate you for sticking around and showing up. Because it was... Excuse me. Because it was supposed to start at, like, I think it was 9 PM in the UK, and it didn't get started until almost 10:30. Susanna says, Lee Pace, great in tech TV series. What's that? Is it another show he was in before this? He was great in, I watched him in, what was the name of the film? The Programme, about Lance Armstrong. He played Lance Armstrong's agent, and again, he was just playing an absolute sleazy git, and I loved it. Love every second of it. Chris is asking, is Polly going to get executed? Yeah, I don't think Polly's making it out this season. I hope Constant does, but Polly's whole thing about getting his faith back, the second he gets that back, he's done, I think. Gerard says, I think on a podcast, Goyer said that people's lifespan with advances in health, etc. is 130 years. Maybe, but then why wouldn't there be more people around? Because Polly wasn't the youngest person on Terminus. He was just the youngest person that spoke to Harry. Halt and Catch Fire is the name of that show. I've not watched that show, Susanna, but it has been on my list. I'm sure he was in that other show, Pushing Daisies or something like that, I think it was. Ross says Lee Pace was excellent as John DeLorean. I didn't even know that was out. I'll need to check that out. I knew that he was doing it. Kyer says Constant is going to lead the church. Maybe, but she seems pretty set up on Hober Mallow, so we're going to have to see how that one pans out, I think. I don't exactly see her settling down with kids, but I suppose it depends on how this big battle at Terminus is going to go. He does make a good point though, or Kyer, I don't know if you're a guy or a girl, I do apologise. Constant is the one with the faith. True. But we've not really met anyone else other than Polly and Constant in the church, so we don't really know how devoted she is compared to anyone else that's not Polly. So Chris says, would there not have been a better way for Harry to speak to the Swarm rather than sending one man? They could have made a proposition without sending a man at all. True. But again, Hobart does play a big part in the books, and his sort of main part is speaking to other planets and going to speak to other people and making relationships and things. So I think that's probably the setup for Hobart, because I don't think they mention his age in the books, but I certainly wasn't anticipating a guy to be that young. I thought he was going to be in his 40s or his 50s, put it that way. But I do think the Swarm's going to be back as well, so we're probably going to see them before the end of the season, I think. Because that was just a great setup, so I don't think they're going to leave it. It'd be pretty weird if they didn't continue or follow up with the Swarm storyline. But again, going back to what I said, I think that's going to be, excuse me, all about the pilot or whatever, or the spacer on the pilot. That's June, the spacer that's on board Bel Rios' ship. But we're going to have to wait and see. Gerard says, was this last episode the baby making episode? If that's what you want to call it, you know, you seen Dawn inject himself, which was going to make him fertile again, so I suppose so. Constant said if could be with child. That's a good point, Gerard. What if Constant is pregnant? Very interesting point. I might have to have a sit and think about that one. That's a really good point. I didn't pick up on the fact that Constant could be pregnant as well. Because I was too busy, you know, you get distracted by the Demerzel stuff and all that. You don't pay attention to the small stuff. But that's a very interesting point. I'll need to think about that, but thanks for bringing that up. We've got about 5 minutes left on the clock, guys, so anything else you want to talk about with regards to this episode, just type it in the chat. I'm losing my voice a wee bit because it is pretty hot here for September. It's usually cold by now. So Kyer says, what if the spacers pull all the ships in one place, then escape with the swarm before they get blown up by the whisper bombs? Maybe, but the advantage that the spacers have is every human's on the ship's asleep, so what if they just slit their throats? What happens then? They can just take the ships and do what they want. That's why they kind of see the Foundation as a threat, because the Foundation doesn't need spacers. Ross says, Demerzel being romantic with current day, the only one since Cleon first would bookend the Cleon dynasty. Yeah, that's a good point. That is a very good point. But I don't know, I think if we see the dynasty again beyond season 2, it will be very reduced. So if you think of it like the British Empire 300 years ago was huge, or the British monarchy, you know, the power that they had 300 years ago was huge, and now the British monarchy is just kind of there for tourists. They don't do anything, they don't influence the law, they don't declare wars on countries. So I think we'll see the dynasty in a very different state if it makes it to season 3. I think when Day goes to Terminus, he is going to lay down the law to Harry. He's definitely going to try and destroy the vault. But again, we've got more than one version of Harry. So I don't think he's probably going to be too worried about that. And when Salvor said, hey, is Terminus going to survive this second crisis? He didn't give her an answer. So that's something to think about. But I'm going to wrap this up, guys. Again, thanks for sticking with me through all these technical problems I had tonight. It was an absolute pain in my backside, but I managed to get it sorted. I'm very glad that you showed up, and I'm very glad, especially if you're a new subscriber in the last few weeks, because the views and stuff I've been getting on these videos, and the feedback and the comments and everything, 99% fantastic, which is 100% more than I ever could have anticipated. I'm going to be doing more theory videos during the week. I'm going to drop the Ahsoka episode 3 review as well, because I've not done that. I've just been a little bit busy this week. I've not had time to do it. And I'm going to do the stream next week. I'll put the times up, but it's going to be at the time that it was supposed to be this week. But again, technical issues, and I really appreciate all of you showing up and for all your continued support. If there's any shows or anything else you want me to talk about outside the Foundation, just let me know in the community tab on my channel page, because I post there every couple of days. You might have seen that I'm covering Raised by Wolves when Foundation ends. I've got a few ideas as well, but guys, I'm going to tune out right now, and I'm just going to say thanks again and have an absolutely great weekend, or a great week I should say. Take care of yourself and hope to see you all next week.